There we go.
All right.
Yeah, way to turn on that sound right as we're starting and we're live. Can you turn off your phone? What a jerk. Jeez.
Oh, that was my phone.
As soon as we're live, let's blast the restream of what we're doing. Hopefully this image quality is better. Can we hear in the chat if you guys can see this clearly? It should be high def. Sick boy. NJ is run by total scumbags. You're not wrong, dude. Let us know as you're watching this how the quality looks. Don't make me open.
Are we high definition?
Browser.
Are we finally high definition again? Because
this actually looks reasonable.
Okay.
I think we're okay this time. All right. The counter is jumping. It goes from 7 to 14 to 25 to 14. It's like bouncing up and down, up and down. This is great. All right. So
we're making good on our promises.
We fixed the visual.
We fixed the visual. Hopefully, let's cross our fingers. Everybody can see your outfit in high definition now.
They should. My Blue Star sweatshirt, my Blue Star hat. Yeah, it's fun. We changed nothing. All we did was use another browser and then go back to Chrome.
Yeah.
And then go back to Firefox, and it just worked. It makes no sense. We were getting 900 up and down either way, but it's glad to see that everybody can see it clearly now. All right.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
What did we put out this week?
Yeah. So this week we put out the video where I confronted the Attorney General of New Jersey and asked him a very simple question. Why are no minorities, no black people in Newark getting their concealed carry permits? Where, his silence speaks for itself. And, if you go back to our YouTube, you'll see all the videos, you see it's all over our social media. But the point here is, this is how the cultural war goes. If this was any other left-wing kind of issue, he would have stopped. He would have talked about everything. He would have spent hours, just bashing right-wing, conservative judges and how they did this and did that. But the fact is that, if you actually Google him, you talk about, let's call it voter rights, for instance, right? There's all these things where he's out there, boasting about how he's going to protect people's right to vote and blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to minorities' rights to own guns, suddenly he's silenced, which is a continuing pattern that we've seen with the attorney generals throughout the history of New Jersey.
Yeah. What is the theme that I've said in every stream in the last 3 weeks? I said it 3 years ago. I've said it 10 years ago at speeches for NJ2AS, and I say it at Blue Star. I literally say it in everything I do. Democracy is not your salvation. Republicanism, when I say republicanism, I don't mean partisan. I mean the Constitution. Representative government is not your salvation. I had a phone call this morning with an assemblyman who called me and asked me about participating in, getting involved with the party on trying to help them with GOTV efforts. And I said to him this very thing. I said, democracy is not your salvation. And he was saying, how do we get the GOP, this happens to be who he consults for. How do we get the GOP, consults for, as part of, how do we get the GOP to embrace VBM, vote by mail, get the adherents to embrace it and the candidates to vocally support it? And I said, see, you're trying to let me rephrase. How do we get it to stop? Because in their opinion, it's corrupted, right? So I said, you're viewing it as how do we stop it by getting the majority? How do we win so we can stop VBM? I said, you don't have to do that. You just have to use VBM better than they do, and they will make it illegal. Right? The opposition will make it illegal for you. You don't have to win by democracy, right? You by proxy, win by culture. If I show that I do this better than you, you no longer want it as a weapon in the arsenal that people can use. But yeah, we talked about Bruin right before this too. Yeah. What did we say about Bruin? Someone was complaining to you about what's the point of paying attention to Second Amendment or liberty movement stuff. Bruin already happened.
Or supporting any Second Amendment groups now because we have Bruin and suddenly we can carry wherever we want.
We have Bruin here. How's it working out for you?
We have less gun rights.
You have less places you can carry. You have more restrictive training. The only thing that changed is now they have to entertain your application. Yeah. Great. What are you doing with it? If the legislature reacted to our constitutional republic's dictums by saying, oh, you're telling us we can't do this. Now we're going to do it even. It's like the Office meme. Now I'm going to do her even harder. Right? If you ever watched The Office. They don't care. They don't care about rules. They don't care about how this republic works or that there's a court and that there's this legislative and judicial and executive balancing scheme. It means nothing to them. Politics is about power and culture.
Mhm.
If you drive the culture, you have the power, and that's all that matters. Looks good to a Firefox user. Glad to hear this fix. So let's like have you talk about what that video was about, what was surrounding it, and how you came about doing it.
So this goes into a lot of areas, right? Because we're going to expose the corrupt media, the mainstream media, and how biased they are. But the fact that it took me to approach and confront the Attorney General of New Jersey and ask him a very simple question about black gun ownership. Like, why are our emails and our systems being flooded by people coming predominantly from minority areas and saying, the cops are not even taking my phone calls. They're turning us away. They're closing their offices. They won't even take our applications. Then they make up these own things. Oh, we're waiting for more rules. We need more better clarification.
That was the line they kept using all summer.
Yeah.
When the Attorney General's office put out a directive like days after Bruin. It was like literally days.
Yeah.
They had a directive that they put out to pass around to all the law enforcement agencies, all the prosecutors' offices. And then all of these individual apartments, as people started flooding them, were like, every one of them was saying the same thing. Oh, we don't know what to do. We don't have guidance. Oh, we're not sure what to do. We're waiting to learn more. It's like, what is there to know? 2C58-4 is there. 2C58-4, the only thing different from the day of Bruin was that Bruin said you can't use justifiable need as an excuse to deny someone's application.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that functionally changed. So you have been doing, and this was the kicker, you, the police and these courts have been adjudicating carry permits for decades.
Yeah.
Decades. Because for decades, you've operated under 2C58-4.
Yeah.
You've had armored car drivers. You've had celebrities. You've had, security employees. You had certain state assemblymen and senators, right? Who all use 2C58-4 and this mechanism of going to their police department and then subsequently a superior court. And they knew the process for all those people.
Yeah.
But as soon as Bruin happened and said, well, no longer can you use justifiable need to deny people, suddenly every cop in New Jersey is like, oh, we don't know what to do. We don't have direction.
Yeah.
This is virgin territory to us. No, it's the same process. You just can't use more tyranny against us. But now it's like, imagine if you got caught speeding. You're like, well, I don't know the law. Like, I don't know how speeding works. Like, they wouldn't give a shit. But this is the shit that drives me insane. And essentially, the AG probably told them, and the prosecutor, just keep sandbagging everyone until we pass more laws.
Exactly.
Which they did in December.
Yeah, they do that all the time. So that's part of, listen, there's a big umbrella here, right? And this is the kind of narrative and the kind of transparency we're trying to create and expose the corruption going on. Because if I went up to the Attorney General of New Jersey and said, why are no black people in Newark allowed to vote? Right? He would have stopped. His mob would have surrounded me. They would have all answered my question and said, we're going to stand up to this issue. Suddenly you'll find out they have time to do that, right? As they do with all these other entitlement programs and other constitutional rights. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, like, we're basically considered second-class citizens. And suddenly, the people in urban areas and in urban neighborhoods and minorities, we don't know if we can trust those people. And that's something we're going to prove. Like, we have the content. We have their own words that we're going to use against them. And even though they don't answer the questions, they are answering that question. Because if it was any other issue, I can guarantee you they would have stopped. They spent hours talking to, on top of their soapbox and trying to, hammer a point home.
You bringing up race, Tim, is a lose-lose immediately. That's why they walk away and don't say anything. Look, people come into council meetings all the time, irate, angry, pissed off about something, and they want to yell and talk. And you know what you do? You let them talk and then engage them and then ask like Socratic questions back to them. And very quickly you can surmise whether someone is really knowledgeable of what they're talking about, comfortable, like mastering, and 99% of the time they're not, right? They're just emotional. And if he like truly mastered what first of all, he can. It's a losing proposition. His viewpoint is a losing proposition, which is why for decades I've told you, stop talking about guns, start talking about isms, start talking about victimhood. Like, these are the wedges that your intellectual enemies cannot combat you on, because they endorse using those mechanisms for their things that they exalt for their things they're trying to do. So use their tactics against them. But it's a losing proposition. From what I loathe is, not only am I going to ignore you, then some smarmy, like, piece of shit, like, intern or whoever that other woman was, who ironically is black, which makes it even funnier. And she's like, you could reach out to our office. Like, fuck you. I just asked you to your fucking face.
All
like,
right, no.
And you need to be pissed. I just asked you to your goddamn face.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the press. You just did a press conference about this.
Yeah.
You're putting out that these gun control laws are so important and we need to pass this. And now you have the preeminent, like, journalist, because you have a journalism outfit here. You have press credentials with the state of New Jersey, with Governor Murphy. He knows better than anyone that you have these. They all know your name, right? This isn't like some TNZ hit thing where, like, they don't know who he is. They talk to him. He's talked to Matt before. And I'm going to ask you a question about this. And it's like, I'm just going to smirk like a little and go into the corner. And then I'm going to have an intern like put you down.
Yeah. And it has not been the first time that I've heard him laugh when I ask about, constitutional rights, predominantly the Second Amendment, when it comes to our inner cities. Because who more needs this than the people live? This is why I'm actually here.
They don't give a shit about the inner cities. And that's why you need to don't talk about guns. Remember the moth analogy I would always give? Go back and watch the moth analogy. You don't yell at a moth, right? A moth is like, the brain is this small. They don't understand you're yelling. You need to speak its language, right? Matt's language and people like him, statists, especially like culturalists that embrace race and victimhood statuses for everything. So don't call him like woke, which was all the boomers now say. Like, I cringe when I hear the word woke now. Like, embrace his intellectualism and throw it back at him. Yeah. Why are you hurting all the black people in Newark? And this wasn't like rumor. You had dozens and dozens and dozens of people saying, I'm trying to apply in Newark.
For years.
I'm being told I can't apply.
Yeah, for years. Because this doesn't go back just for in the concealed carry. This is going back, when did we start this? In 2015.
15. Well, it was the beginning of 2015. We released it later on.
Yeah, but we still have a lot of video content about that, and we will release that, because we have to show what happens when you go into an inner city police department and ask them, can I have an application to purchase a firearm? Can I have an application to carry a firearm? And, their reactions are outrageous. If that happened in any, like, I don't know, white suburban neighborhood, they would be shutting down, and there'd be massive outcry because of it. But because it's like, innocent black people in urban cities, you know what, their lives are not as important. Wait for the police to show up. You don't need a gun.
Mr. XRP all in saying, can the city of Newark be sued for denying people their permits? I mean, at this point,
so
right?
Very good question.
Do you want to answer it?
Well, because there was a lawsuit late 80s, early 90s, I think, about the delays, and the judge the judge turned around and ruled that the 30 days to apply from when you apply to the time you get your gun permit, it starts when the police department conducts and finishes their investigation. So when is that? Like, that is like, this ruling.
Of course. Yeah. It's what they've used to justify delaying every single P2P, every single FPIC. But your question, I'm sure what you really mean to say is, would we win in a lawsuit? Because, of course they can be sued. But would you win is the question.
No.
Likely not, because it's been remedied, right? So it's like government has this thing where, like, as long as they eventually do the right thing, they're immune, and like, you get remedy and then it's over, and you can never, like, it's very rare that you can collect money.
Because what happens is the minute you file that lawsuit, suddenly you'll get your gun permit, and then you lose standing.
And then the standing's gone.
Then you lose your standing. So it's like, now the case is going to be dismissed.
So let's show a little background here. So we put out this column yesterday. We show the video of Matthew Platkin, Attorney General, running away from Alex. This, like, I don't know if it's a staff member, intern, but another lady comes and says, you can reach out to our office. You can reach out to our office. Of course, they don't respond. But, that's the typical thing. Anytime you're in front of a famous person or a person of stature, a person of political consequence, there's always an intermediary, a sort of a bodyguard of sorts, who says, oh, yeah, here, email us and we'll get back to you. And then some intern gives you some formulaic, block response
exactly,
that doesn't answer your question or doesn't really get to the point of what you're saying. because Matt is never going to functionally answer that
Or
question.
they have some type of
And just remember, Matt is the pinnacle law enforcement officer in the state of New Jersey. He is responsible for every single prosecutor's office, all of the police departments, the state. He ultimately oversees all of that. And he oversees hundreds of entities, not dozens, hundreds, who break the law every day by delaying and denying your P2Ps, your FPICs, and your LTCs, your license to carry. All of those are delayed on a habitual basis. Just today, I won't say where, I was at an FFL of one of our friends, and it's Alexander or Alejandro, not Alex. I know he yells at me all the time.
Unbelievable.
He has so many identities, he doesn't know which one he's going to be today.
I'm identity fluid. Okay.
You're very fluid. So I was at an FFL, and they're like, Dan, can you help me with X town? Because obviously I try to help people when I can in our town. And no, I can't. But what I can do is go to their meeting and make a scene, call out the police commissioner, call out the chief. You want me to do this? I said, do you want me to call it out on the air with NJ2AS? Oh, no, don't do that.
Here we go with this. Yeah.
And as it's like, listen, like, this is what we talked about last time. You're in a fight. You either fight or back away.
Yeah.
They don't care about you asking nicely, quietly. You have to call them out for their malfeasance. Yeah. Hey, 2C58-4 is our carry statute. You are violating it. You now used to be 60 days to adjudicate my permit. It's day 75. Why? Don't ask them if you're getting a permit. Assert that they're breaking the law on the record in a meeting with minutes being taken by a clerk, and say, hey, chief, police commissioner, councilman, whoever the in charge of that bureaucratic structure is. Sometimes it's a business manager, whatever. Point to them, say their name on camera and the record, say, I'd like this added to the minutes, which the clerk should be diligently recording, and it should be videotaped or audio recorded. Why is your police department breaking 2C58-4 by denying my permit or my application more than 60 days? Mm-hmm. I applied on X. It is now Y days late. Why do you continue to do this? And how quickly will you remedy this illegal situation? And if this was like in towns, there are dozens of people where this is happening to. If you had 10 people showing up to every meeting and saying it to them, it would stop.
Exactly.
And it's happened at our meetings, and right?
People,
where things get cut out. In many towns that you've gone to, where you just ask for them to stop breaking the law, and oftentimes that ends. They do,
yeah. Jackson's a perfect. I mean, there's a lot of towns, but just by showing up and bringing light to this issue, it stops it from happening. Why we have to do this? That's a very good question. But the fact that we're treated like second-class citizens, and really the most important part is it never happened if you don't speak up. This is the biggest problem we have with people. They come forward, I read this, my police officer said this.
I can't say anything because my cousin's a cop here, and my friend's in the army, and this person's
I'm scared they're going to be mean to me, and
they're being mean to you already.
Let me make it very clear. They hate you, right? And by intimidating you and silencing you, you're letting them win. And until you open up and use the right tools that we've trained people on how to do, you can go through all of our social media and see how we fought back. The camera is one of the most powerful tools that you can use in exposing this corruption and now exposing the bias. Because if I was asking Matt Platkin, New Jersey Attorney General, any other question, he would have stopped and had all the time in the world if it was some type of entitlement program for whatever, fill in that blank. But
maybe not. But what got me is that like smirk, like that and all the staff are laughing. It's like, I don't get that, dude. I get that you're like important. You're up high in New Jersey government and politics. You're the chief law enforcement officer. Like, you should be ashamed that you're the chief officer of a state with dozens of entities openly breaking the law every day, and you're going to make a face at me like I'm the jerk here.
Yeah,
like you should be ashamed of yourself.
Imagine
that's the attitude they never receive.
Imagine how he would kick and scream and cry if he went to downtown Newark, or lived in downtown Newark without his armed guards, and maybe he has a concealed carry.
Maybe you have a video about that might be coming out soon.
Yeah, maybe. Wink, wink.
Stay tuned.
But seriously, how quickly he would get his permit, because that's something we've proven is how many times people that are, part of this like special class of citizens, they get their permits. Like, we know this. They were giving concealed carry permits out to all these not all of them, but a lot of politicians and special people. We have videos of it that we're going to eventually release, and showing that, well, this guy was friends with the police chief, this guy was friends with the prosecutor, this guy knew this politician, he was a big donor. Like, all that's very well documented, and we're going to expose that, to use in lawsuits, to use on social issues, because that's the only thing that doesn't lie.
I'm going to do it in my own. I'm going to do two things in my own town. That's my promise now. We're going to self-report the status of our applications. Even though while I'm running the town, I'm breaking the law, or the town is breaking the law, I'm going to self-report it. That's how transparent I'm going to be. I'm going to have like either a monthly or weekly update where I go, here's all the outstanding applications from oldest to newest, obviously redacted, but just saying the date of the oldest and the date of the newest and whether it's still open. And then what I'm going to do, because I will be going through the carry application process again very, very soon for the second time, because mine is almost lapsed, being the first one in Monmouth County that was administered. And because I have certain orders on mine, which I've covered in previous conversations, I am going to document mine, and we'll talk about it every week, and we'll have a very public counter, because I'm curious, now that your website's being targeted by the state, let's put this up. Let's put this up here for a second.
Well, why don't I lead into it?
So we posted this video, and all of a sudden Facebook has blocked Alexander from being able to share anything.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you're seeing here on the screen.
And when you actually look into this, because I'm trying to share our, our content, and I don't like to flood our social media with fluff and, irrelevant things and blah, blah, blah. Everything I want, anytime you click on our anything, social media or website, I want it to be as direct and as important as possible, but like now I started posting, and we maybe post once a week, maybe twice a week, if that. So I went to go share the live stream link on Facebook, and suddenly there's no link there to share. And this goes back to what we've talked about for years now, about this modern warfare where, the town hall, where people used to get together and have these conversations, no longer exists. All that exists over social media today. Now, if what's called shadow banning, and they blacklist you, your voice, you could have 1 million followers on your social media, but if they shadow ban you, suddenly people are not going to be seeing your content when they open up their feed. So when we're trying to share our content, it shows no share function. And statistically, so we have 13,000 people on that like our Facebook page, and we posted a bunch of things. It's maybe in the past 2 or 3 weeks, on each post, it only shows 1 or 2 people liked it. It is statistically impossible that only 1 or 2 people liked our content on Facebook, for example. And this is how they win. People have to realize that this is the modern warfare. This is how they're going to suppress and silence all of us on, let's call it the right, or on views that the mainstream media don't agree with. For example, guns. That's a big ticket item. A big talking item today that nobody wants to admit to. But if you talk anything about Second Amendment, anything about guns, that doesn't agree with their positions, they're going to do that to you.
Keith P., if you don't get an ALTC and NJ in under 60 days, use an N-word, and not in a nice way. NJDA probably. Yeah, man, I wouldn't be shocked if this was the dialogue behind closed doors. Dude, Keith, I've been telling this kid to do this for 10 years. Now that the courts ended up taking care of it over time. But I said, don't make it about guns. They don't understand guns. Make it about race. Make it about gender. Make it about whatever, purple Martians. Whatever victim class you want to use, make that be the wedge, because they don't talk guns and constitutionality and rhetoric like that. They don't care to understand, nor will they register. Will it register to them? I want to show one more thing. So on top of Facebook censoring this, whether it's visibility, throttling, shadow banning, and then moreover us having the inability to share the content.
Now we can't even share our content.
Now, it's not just that.
And by the way, so when I looked it up on Facebook, Facebook is alleging and claiming that, for people that share too much and post too many things, we disable their share function for, I was like, yeah, we post something maybe once or twice a week. I know groups that post once or twice a day, so that's their way of trying to get out of it. So secondly, on top of the social networks, the server, Alexander's actually a pretty good tech guy. My whole background's in IT technology. I owned and ran a software company for a majority of my life. So I know a lot about this.
Yeah, he's he runs the NJ2AS ship with pretty tightly. He's on top of all the security measures, and we redacted a couple of things just so you don't see some of the
Internal things.
stuff. But we'll show you this, and I'll put it bigger on the screen. Here's the alerts we received. There hadn't been any attacks on the server attempted in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Yeah,
we posted this video.
You get the generic things.
We posted this video. This is today. This is 5:08 today.
We
and
sent,
at 4:00 we shared this live stream.
We sent out the email,
right? So this is all today,
and within an hour, it's 5:08. But there was a lot of email. We have a big email list from all of our memberships. People were, it takes one or 2 hours maybe for everyone to get our emails, and within an hour, I'm just like seeing all these warnings coming up, and it's I got from our firewall and other protection mechanisms stating that we're being heavily attacked, and within 10 minutes. It showed that we had over 1,000 potential attacks attacking our website and our email server to try to shut us down. And a coincidence? I think not. Like that's the whole point. Yeah, you get generic things. Everybody does. 1 or 2 or 10 maybe a day. But suddenly it was like 987 within 10 minutes of us putting out that email that we're going to be doing this live stream. And that goes to show the I don't even know what
it's not an accident, man. And it's who you talked about.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about other stuff. We've been doing this for weeks, and all of a sudden you go after a head honcho and your server's getting raided every day or attempted at least. E92, that E92 boy. I've seen your name before, man. It's ringing a bell. Yeah, man. 2C58-3 is all of the permitting timeline things for the regular permits, the regular purchase permits, the regular FPIC. 2C58-4 was all the carry stuff, which they butchered up in December in the last legislature. But yeah, good point. Keith saying to get around sharing, register random domains and switch it every time that domain gets blocked. I know that
this is a sharing on social media.
Ban.video was created because information warfare website was blocked.
Keith knows a lot about this.
Keith's an expert on this stuff. He knows way more than I do. It's funny. Remember Infowars.com, and now it's ban.video. I miss hearing Alex Jones saying that stuff. Government violence. Those are what's the grammar term for that? It's when they're this one and the same homonyms, or I don't know what the term is for that, but yeah. I always ask people, let's throw this in the chat. And Keith, you don't get to answer because I know you know the answer to this. Everybody listening to this right now, we got several dozen people. I want you to describe government, what you think government is, in 2 words. You cannot use more than 2 words. And Keith, you're not allowed to participate because I know you're going to know the answer. And let's see who has the closest answer to what I think the right answer is. So throw it in the chat. Tell us in 2 words, what is government? If anybody ever asked, because I know
you have one of those like timer things.
You probably, I can't put up a timer, but I'll check it in like 2 minutes. What is government?
One of those like bell things.
I guarantee you, nobody will get it absolutely correct, because you want to start talking about a lot of flowery rhetoric and buzzwords and defined terms, and it's just 2 words. Let's see who gets it right. Sean, what's up, man? News 2A. Speaking of victim classes, one of our openly racist assemblymen said the quiet part out loud. You sure did. Good to hear from you, Sean. Sean's the man. We've spoken a couple of times. Excuse me. But I believe he's talking about the when the Bills were getting batted around last winter.
Oh, John McKeon?
Yeah, your boy. Who he actually...
Do we really want to get people in Newark and Patterson, the people that live in there and more guns?
I think he ran against, I could be mistaken, he ran against my friend, let me see if he ran against him or not. Hold on. You tap dance while I look this up.
So that was actually a really good point, was Sean. So we went back all the way to the 60s, all the transcripts. And if you read the transcripts of when they were actually adopting the present day permitting scheme, you'll actually see that and read like the Attorney General, Arthur Sills at the time, with head law enforcement officers stating that, the people from the inner cities, they're all buying guns now, and they shouldn't be buying guns. And where are they coming into? They're coming into our suburban neighborhoods. And I'm paraphrasing, but consider that 85% accurate. I have it somewhere, the actual transcripts from the 60s. If we said that stuff today, You know, they would burn down your house. They would destroy your life. You know, it's the most racist things you could possibly imagine. But that's really what it was about, what was going on. They were worried about minorities from urban neighborhoods buying guns without getting a background check. And that's why they made it so arbitrary, because they wanted that arbitrary discretion to be able to turn down the wrong people from being wrong people, quote unquote, or that they don't want from being able to buy guns.
Yeah, McKeon ran against, in this past election, my good friend Michael Byrne. He's a really good dude, and he taught me a lot about how the partisan nonsense, works, how it functions in New Jersey. He's a really nice guy. He ran against McKeon just this past cycle. So, yeah, who was the guy that was talking about? Was it McKeon that was also talking about handbags? That women had to carry in handbags or something that was inappropriate. I want to say it was like a black woman that was saying it in the legislature. There was something about handbags, I remember, during that same time frame as McKeon's racial stuff. The E2 Boyo said I had to bring that up last round. My permits at Borough. Yeah, dude. Tell us what town you went to if you're willing to. I'm curious. Yeah, Rumble.
Or send us a private message. Like, we have to start going back to these town hall meetings and council meetings and calling these people out.
Enough with this. Like, oh, we'll get lawyers. If you're willing, if you have a town and you're past the statutory date, right? 30 days for 2C58-3, 60 days for 2C58-4. Essentially P2P, FPIC, and the other one is carry. If you're behind, contact him, contact NJ2AS. And if you're willing to be on the record, maybe Alex will go with you to your borough meeting. We'll set up a nice 4K camcorder right there as we question them on the dais and call out what they're doing. And maybe when we find out what town your delay is in, we'll survey that town online to get more people who are also delayed. And maybe we'll show up with 5 people that are simultaneously getting delayed. He's literally putting my levels down as I'm talking about.
No, I'm getting my my sound person saying there's a crackling going on. You guys hearing crackling?
Oh, okay.
Like maybe static.
Maybe
let me try to adjust your mic. Hold on. Hold on. No, but I turned your mic off. So
why are you turning it off?
Because I wanted to see. I turned mine off, and she said
she said, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Speaking of shadow ban, it looks to me like only 3 people are watching this. Sean, there's like 50-something people watching, and it jumps up to 60 and down to high 40s. So it could be because you're on Facebook, and this is simultaneously being broadcasted to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you're just seeing the people that are watching it on the platform you're on. So there are dozens more people watching. So E.T. Boyo, an effing scam. Close, but I need something more descriptive than that, more particular. Answer the question, what is government in 2 words? 2 words. I want to see the best answer. I still haven't seen one. Super Trump 2024. Also a lot of static in the mic. Thanks, man.
So the way they're hearing.
No, that was an older comment, though. That was from like 5 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm hearing is that it sounds crystal clear on my end.
Harry Wrigley, took many months to get my permit and my qualification was full RPO, and I'll do it again in 2 years, no problem. Simply because they don't want me to have it, I'll never have it, never surrender. It was 1968 and was also LTC, the state. Appreciate you guys telling us about, if there's ever bad feedback, keep us updated. Appreciate that. It took us a lot to figure out the visual stuff. It started in the 60s with the Black Panthers. You're probably alluding to the Mulford Act in California, which I know Keith and I have talked about a million times. And you're talking about Ronald Reagan and the Democrat and Republican legislature of state of California. And this is Daniel Francisco saying this, not you. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, supported that. And there's people in the New Jersey gun movement that when I say that the NRA supported that, and if you donate to the NRA, you're supporting that gun control, they get a little offended when I bring that up. Sorry to bring up actual American history in the liberty space. That's what happened. The NRA and Ronald Reagan, the darling child of the right wing, all supported gun control because they didn't want the Black Panthers open carrying rifles in Sacramento. Look it up. I'm not making it up. That he didn't want you to carry in handbags. Yeah, but there was something like more pernicious about the statement. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something implying that like women shouldn't be carrying in handbags, or something. Yes, on Facebook. Plainfield riots 2, static and crackling at 8:35. We're still hearing crackling. How did we have perfect sound for 2 streams?
I don't get it.
And then we have now bad visual, bad audio.
I don't know.
Still crackling, huh?
I'm wondering
Maybe
if it's Firefox or if it's.
Maybe try just like unplugging and plugging back in, and we'll try.
No, it's
intro.
crystal clear on my end. That's why I'm saying.
You're hearing it through here?
No, I hear nothing.
Oh, so it's funny because he's hearing the stream right there.
Yeah, and all the
Keith is saying loose cables.
No.
Murphy is pressing the crackle button on your mics. Oh, they're going at our server. So it's someone saying grounding issue, loose cables. Yeah, there because it would be something post you're plugged into the board. It's something from the board to here that is which one is taking in the audio? This one? Oh, the signal. This signal's gone now. No, we're there. You guys can hear us again. Sorry about that. This is some really sensitive setup here. Tell us if you can hear us. We're good, man. Where are you going? He's going to check the sound from a separate device. Can you guys hear this? Your back's still crackling. Okay. I don't know. It must be something from that wire forward. I don't know why. Literally restarted the computer a million times, but... Is this, let us know if this is affecting the quality in any way. He's like adjusting the USB. Oh, that thing is loose, man. You might need another board. Reset the audio on laptop. All right, we should be plugged in here with crackling. Do you hear crackling in there?
I don't hear anything on crackling.
It's something from the wire coming out. Levels may be too high.
No, they're the same level.
No, we have them pretty low, man. They're within the tolerance. Put it down a little bit. Better. Someone said better. Okay, we can hear. Thanks, guys. No crackling now. Don't touch anything. Stop touching things. It's clear now. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Don't touch anything. Wonderful. I love you guys for sticking through it. So yeah, that's all the stuff we had to show. Donations.
Yes.
Let's mention the books.
Yeah, guys, please, again, we have 2 more books we want to give away this week. Signed, copied books from Anthony Calandro, Crime Proof. Anybody that becomes a NJ2AS Life member, NJ2AS.org. We need your support. We need your help. Please let us know. Not let us know. Please become a member. You get a card in the mail. You get all the nice packages. We're working with a lot of partnerships now with other organizations and other businesses that give discounts to NJ2AS members. That's a big incentive to become a member as well. But we need your donations. A lot of the stuff's going to helping increase our outreach and doing a lot of legal work as well. So.
Yeah, Sean brings up a great point. A lot of corporations will do donation matching if you have a C4, C3 status. And it's a great way to make your company, which probably doesn't like the fact that you're a 2A supporter, they will often match your donations up to a certain amount. So that's a great point, Sean. I remembered succinctly, I worked at one company that would do match. Not only would they do match, they would give you like $100 a year to donate to whatever you wanted. Right. And then if you donated more, they would match on top of that. So it's absolutely free money. Great point. Yeah. I love giving leftist money to 2A cause. Trust me, every Fortune 500 company hates
Hey,
you.
Here's something fun that a lot of people did last year for the holiday season was they were donating a membership on behalf to like family members or friends that were very staunchly
sign up your cousin that hates you.
Yeah, hates guns. So we were getting calls from people like, what the F? Get me off your freaking list. I don't want any membership from you. And I'm just laughing like, well, we can't disclose how it was paid for, but you had a membership. And if you don't like it, don't renew.
Keith says, I got the book and I'm a life member. Both are the best decisions I've made. Love it, Keith. Appreciate it, man. Who's Anthony? Frederick Kuhn saying, who's Anthony? tyranny embodied, corrupt kleptocracy. We're getting warmer. We're getting warmer. I mean, like, theft exists in many ways, right? Like, there's theft in not just in government, because you mentioned kleptocracy, so I'll discuss theft. What's the difference between the theft government does and the theft that we are capable of doing?
Mm-hmm.
If you add another descriptor to that, you'll almost get to my answer for what the answer to that question is. Easy, I can't read his Ezzy Zeddy or Easy Zeddy. Is it legally for my town to confiscate my firearms due to PTSD without any conviction? That sounds like a really like you already know something that we don't know. You're asking about a particular situation.
They could take your guns away for any reason, and you have, under that clause of the law.
Red flag.
Yeah, no, the clause that says
mental.
If it doesn't serve the best interest of the public, like it's absurd. You don't have to be convicted. You don't have to be nothing. They could just say, you know what, we don't like you. We're just going to take your guns away. Now you have to spend all this money and energy going to court and fighting and having a judge overturn it.
Yeah, and so is it legal? What's legal? What's the definition of legal, right? What the government permits.
Mm-hmm.
If the government permits it, it doesn't mean it's legal, right? The government permits many things to happen every day that aren't legal by their own statutes, by their own dictums. I just explained how Platkin oversees dozens of police departments, hundreds of police departments that break 2C58-3 for every day, right? So is it legal? Like that's for lawyers to interpret and for prosecutors to enforce and judges to enforce. But the point is, like, yeah, technically it's not, but it doesn't matter, right? They break the law and will tyrannically abuse you regardless of whether it's legal or not.
And that's something I find comical, because when we were extremely active with the undercover stuff, we're going to, documenting things just openly. Like in a lot of towns, they were just like, you don't like it, sue us. So what do? We went and recorded them and went to the council meetings. And after we would report things to the prosecutor's office, because what they can get in trouble for is the official misconduct clause of our laws. And no public official wants to ever get charged with official misconduct. And despite having recordings and everything documented, we covered everything. We've had recordings from the prosecutor's office where they say, "Oh yeah, we looked into this. They stopped doing it, so we're not going to pursue anything any further. Or they weren't breaking the law." It's like, it's on video. How could you possibly, right? And the point of all this is that when the time comes, we can show the right courts that that the conspiracy not only runs in the police departments, but it also runs in the prosecutor's office, because they are okay with laws being broken as long as it's dealing with guns. Like, that's the whole point. And before, for decades, people were always crying, complaining, "Oh, did you talk? No, I don't want to do anything." I'm going to repeat this every single stream because it's eye-opening and it's going to change radically how many of you probably view government and view things like the Constitution. I know immediately, when I hear someone pontificating about the Constitution and whether something is constitutional, I almost can dismiss them immediately as not understanding what the real battle is, right? Because it's a farce, right? And I say this every stream. I'm going to say it till someone tells me they read the book. Pick up No Treason by Lysander Spooner. Lysander, Lysander, Spooner, Spooner. Go read that book. It is eye-opening. It's going to change your political philosophy almost as much as Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard, which is probably my political Bible. I mentioned that in a lot of my speeches. But I want people to read Lysander Spooner because he was a leftist anarchist who hated the federal government, was trying to start his own private postal service, and he has some of the best quotes ever on constitutional rhetoric that you will ever read. And you're going to be quoting them, and you will be able to understand why the right loses every single cultural battle in the political realm. I didn't say political battle. I said cultural battle in the political realm, because they don't comprehend what the Constitution is, what it means, whether it matters.
They understand the dynamics of power. They understand the dynamics of culture, which are way more important and influential than politics or constitutional rhetoric. So read Lysander Spooner, and it will open your eyes to why the gun movement, the whatever you want to call it, the right wing, the conservatives, which is like, that word makes me barf because it's meaningless. They are all wrong. They have it completely wrong. I'm telling you, when someone gets up at one of these meetings, one of these Tea Party groups, or one of these right-wing, rallies, and they're like, I read the Constitution. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free. When I hear that person quoting the Constitution, I know I can dismiss. Look who it is. Look who it is. I know I can dismiss them wholesale because they don't know the real battle. Keith is the closest, because I know he knows. He's putting the first 3 letters of the first word and saying that's all you get. E92 Boyo, corrupt legacy. Whoa, what's up, dude? I don't consent to any searches, bro. This is Jersey. Since when has legal mattered? See, Sean gets it. Legal has nothing to do with it. And legal is only what the government permits itself to do to you. And it's like, we're stealing from you. It's legal because we're the government. We say it's legal.
Yeah, do you ever watch those like government agents, like they're driving 90 miles an hour, but like if you and I do, it would be like in jail.
Of course. Why do Democrats hate the Bruin decision? Again, it's not a partisan thing, but yeah, the point is, Lil Pope, that we got the Bruin decision. We are more restricted than we were before. That's the real rub. And nobody comprehends this. Everyone else is like, they got like, and they just exploded. They're like, Bruin decision. We won. I'm spent. I could take a nap now. Well, you're 10 times worse in some ways than you were before. Weaponized kleptocracy. Interesting. Weaponized.
Well, here's something, because
demo side. There's another Alex Jones fan right there.
Yeah. No, because I remember, I don't know, last week or a couple days ago, somebody was just like, "Oh, why should I donate? Now with Bruin we can carry." I'm sitting there like, we have less rights now after Bruin. Like Bruin, literally, like this is when the fight began. Because look at all the little games. They passed a law saying you can carry a gun in the mall, but you can't carry the gun in your car while you're driving. Like that is their logic, and that's the kind of fights that is the fight that we're up against. And look what happened with the courts. This court
stuff.
What
happened with me?
Look what happened with you.
I'm the first carry permit. I can't carry.
Is just the beginning. Even if the Supreme Court came down and smacked all these New Jersey gun laws down, I can promise you they're going to come up with something else. They're what scumbag Menendez, he just said, yeah, you know what?
This is a family show. Don't talk like that, all right?
That low-life Senator Menendez, what did
he actually censored himself and made it less offensive. That's hilarious.
I don't want to trigger people. But what did he say? He goes, we don't care. Just if someone carries a gun, even lawfully, go out and arrest them. Just arrest them. Make their life a living hell. Because that's what they do. We know people with lawfully owned firearms that spent 30, 40, 50 days in jail only to come out and, what is it? What they always say, the government agent, let the prosecutors figure it out. It's like, you still destroyed this person's life. This person spent their life savings on lawyers to prove the innocence.
The process is the punishment.
The process is the punishment.
The process is the punishment. Even when they don't have the law on their side, they will rake you through the process because the process is the punishment. Even if you're not guilty, they will rake you through the process because the process is the punishment. Don't ever forget that. How is Bruin making things worse? Just to be clear, like we get.
Wait, who asked that?
No, it's Firewater Effects, and he's saying pre-Bruin there are no carry permits. Yes, but like we're being
that's not true.
There were. What he's saying. We're being myopic, right? So of course you have to take this to its logical conclusion, right? So are more people being allowed to get a piece of paper saying that under certain circumstances they can carry? Yes. However, those definitions of when you can carry are never. Yeah. So just because we gave out more permits, your situation is not different. It's not so much whether this is better or worse than what it is now or what it was before. It's that they don't care that the Constitution and the separation of powers, i.e. the Supreme Court, has decided that, having special need or justifiable need or special cause per, NYSPRA's, wording in New York, but our nomenclature is justifiable need in New Jersey, saying that you need that, that can't be enforced anymore. But then they'll just change the rules and say, okay, so now we have to give people permits that even if they don't have justifiable need, well, we'll just make it illegal to carry anywhere, including your car. And now you still can't carry. That's my point. Is they don't respect the system and don't care. That's why all the people that for the last decade that argued with us about, well, just wait till Drake. That was the thing for years. Now just wait till Bruin. Okay, we're still going to lose. If you don't move the needle culturally and you don't change the dialogue and the cultural dialogue about these issues, and you don't call out the parties responsible for our problems, for the tyranny we experience, and if you don't change the mindset of the way people look at government monopolies in general, particularly on the right, if you don't employ their language and use it against them, you will still suffer under the yoke of their tyranny. They will still impose those restrictions on you, regardless of what Clarence Thomas writes in an opinion.
And Firewater, like, understand, they literally passed a law that even in the New Jersey legislature during the hearings, who was the Republican that said, under this law, where can you lawfully carry?
Yeah,
and not
not Weber.
It was
no, it was the guy with the short brown. I know his face.
And nobody could, nobody on the panel, none of the legislators could answer one place that under the new law that New Jersey enacted, you'd be able to lawfully carry.
He got into it with Danielson, with Joe Danielson. The two of them were going at it. I forget his name though. Short brown hair. Sean saying the pre-Bruin permits were almost without restriction.
Exactly.
Right. And here's the best part. The training mechanisms weren't even defined. It was vague. You know how I know? Because my legal team was going, I can't really talk much about it, but my legal team went through it and there was no prescription. So on top of this, prosecutors were being insanely tyrannical by making up their own policies. They're like, well, make him run this test. That's like what the state police do. It's like, but that's not what the law says. Well, I won't accept the application.
And then once everybody got tested and qualified, they went back, they waited whatever amount of time, a month or two, and then they made them go get qualified again when they changed the rules. So they keep moving those goalposts where that never existed prior to Bruin. And that's the games they play, Firewater. Those are the games that they play. And, I mean, I see some local police officers sometimes and I ask them these questions and they don't even know the law. They don't even know the court rulings. I'm not like, wait, what? I thought you can carry everywhere. Nope.
They can carry wherever they want. So they're
no, they can. But they don't even know that the courts, it's predominantly the 3-panel judges in the Third Circuit.
They don't know anything.
They're just like, when did this happen?
Yeah,
and I mean, I would prefer that they think that I can carry everywhere.
Keith saying before Bruin, no lube. After Bruin, a little spit mixed with alcohol.
Dude,
This
is a children's show.
Let's stop it. Joe Danielson equals racist. Dude, it was actually I view it as like I'm like the Joker watching these hearings going. I'm just like laughing. I'm like, wow, they're literally saying, yeah, blacks and women shouldn't be carrying anyway. I'm like, dude. Good for you. You got some balls saying that shit. I'm like, go Democrats. Like, keep going. Keep saying dumb shit. I love that stuff. But yeah, Republicans aren't even that much. Dude, then I told you. Then Ed Durr, who's like the hero of the right, he's like, oh, I'm going to put a bill that makes it even harder to train. It's like, dude, are you just shoot yourself in the foot while you're at it? Like, both sides are jokes, but the Democrats, holy shit, do they love saying racist things, man. They do not care.
They can predominantly say anything.
Holy moly, they love
as long as it has to do with guns.
I'm like actually shocked because I don't think these people are dumb, right? Like, I don't like another thing that the right does wrong is they look at these Democrats and go, he's so stupid, he doesn't get it. Like, oh, he doesn't understand. I'm like, look, these people are power brokers. They're usually lawyers, business owners. They're not stupid. They're not dumb people. For them to consolidate power and support and get to the position where they are a state senator or an assemblyman, they're not dumb, right? They're good at something. They figured something out. That's why it's doubly shocking to me when, like, on a microphone on the record, the best thing they could think of saying is that, like, oh yeah, like, you can't let every black guy in this neighborhood do this. Like, what? Like, he did. I'm like, I honestly was like, this is like worse than I like, this can't be real that they're saying these things. It's amazing.
And this goes back to the large umbrella where we talked about is, and what we're going to prove and what we've documented every week we're going to put out is, if a Republican said that, like, think about the outcry. The media would have destroyed that individual. But because it's a Democrat talking about, more gun laws and more gun control, let it pass.
as Easy Eddie, another thing, am I allowed to sell my firearms? There's mechanisms to sell your firearms, yes. After the prosecutor's office confiscated it, well, I don't know how you do that if you're not in possession of them.
No, that's
you're not in possession of them.
Question?
I guess he's saying if they're confiscated, I mean, you'd have to go repossess them from the state before you can.
But then that would be after your case is over and things are dismissed and you're not found.
Told him
you would not be a prohibited person.
Yeah, I told him it's his job to figure it out, not his. That was actually a great pivot by Danielson because it's an unanswerable question. It's a great question. Like you're saying, well, we're not prohibiting it. There's all these other places. And he's like, okay, instead of us speaking in the negative, like here's where you can't carry, tell me where we can carry. And he's like, well, that's your job to figure out. Right, because he doesn't want to say it on the record. It was a great pivot by, what was his name? It's not Weber. It's the other guy. Brian J. I don't remember the guy's name, but it's not coming up. I know he was feuding with Spady on Twitter. That's all I remember. If you have a PDC and get pulled over with a handgun in the car, even if you're transporting it in the trunk, you must immediately tell the officer. Yeah. And mind you, that wasn't the case prior to last year.
Yeah, exactly.
They changed that after Bruin, another way in which you have less rights. So thank you. I mean, Bruin's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying like from a cultural standpoint, from an effective standpoint, you're worse off. Dude, I actually had an argument with, let's just say, a very high-ranking police officer. And I speak very openly about this with the people in my circles. And I go, this is bullshit. I shouldn't have to tell you what I have in my car. That's a violation of my Second, Fourth, Fifth, like multiple natural rights that I have. Second, Fourth, Fifth Amendment rights. Not that, again, that the Constitution matters. And he was arguing with me like, oh no, it's just for safety. Bullshit, for your fucking, not for my safety. Because me telling you that I have that, your people have a horrible track record of reacting after that's the case. So I don't run around telling people, hey, when I go into Walmart, I'm carrying a gun, everybody. I certainly don't want to say it to some trigger happy, let's say person.
Hey, shout out to Sean. Thank you for becoming a life member right now.
Sean Abramson?
No.
Oh.
Don't give last name. Just Sean, thank you very much. You're going to be getting the book in the mail.
Awesome, man. Thanks,
also,
Sean.
Mark, thank you for becoming a member as well. Thank
you
very much.
There we go.
So for tonight, one book left for life members.
They want to trim fat, modify the Constitution. Kelly, they don't care about the Constitution. The Constitution is a spook, right? It's like a ghost. It's a thing that they use to mollify and trick the right into thinking everyone else is playing under this paradigm while everyone else laughs at it and you follow it. So it's just a spook. Like you have to treat it like it doesn't exist, like it doesn't matter. Because when progressives feel like trampling on it or using their power to subvert your rights, they do it and they don't care. And case in point, all of the Second Amendment, all of the restrictions to 58-3 and 4 that happened last year. Another thing, am I allowed to sell my firearms after the prosecution? Oh, we answered that already. If you don't get your guns back and sell them through an FFL, you lose your firearm rights for life. Bergen, that was his name. Yes, Sean, thank you. Brian Bergen, or he was the one that was arguing, short brown hair, like kind of almost like a buzz cut. Yes, Brian Bergen. Thank you, man. M. Gabriel from Missouri. Good to have you here, man. Another Brian Bergen. Thank you. Yeah, I was loving watching that stuff. It was so highly entertaining. And it's just like, wow, the depths that they go to. I'm like, how did you not? Look, I like to think that if I'm on a bill, right? Because remember, these are like committee hearings. So it's not the full legislature. It's just people that are on a particular committee, like law and public safety, and those people are supposed to be focused on putting forth legislation regarding law and public safety. So when a bill hits, the table and they have a hearing on it, you'd think these people would read it and be like, let me at least be somewhat educated on this. Even if they're not educated, just don't be the sponsor. This is literally the sponsor of the bill who doesn't know how to answer these very simple mental jujitsu moves about the logic of the legislation. It's shocking, dude. Is purchasing and installing a lighter trigger spring illegal? It's getting into like legal advice territory.
I'm a tech guy. So.
Is that only allowed through a gunsmith?
No, you can modify your own trigger.
You could modify, you could modify triggers.
Just facing your firearm.
You just can't change the legal, by New Jersey standards, the legal definition of your firearm. Yeah. If you change the legal definition of your firearm, and there's many ways in which you can do that, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah, just no defacing. I mean, I remember there was a couple instances where people painted their guns and they covered up
the serial
number, and it was actually like you can still see it. It wasn't like you're scraping it off. Just be careful in that realm. But so okay, you know what? This actually brings in an interesting point. Since we're getting into the tech stuff, bring that up again with the
spring.
Yeah. So my recommendation is, and I can't give legal advice because I'm not a lawyer, but from all the lawyers I've talked to, my gun that I carry every day is a standard factory issue Springfield XD. No modifications, nothing. Factory ammo, factory gun. Because there's been a lot of cases where any modification of a firearm, the prosecutor is going to portray you as some type of trigger happy person that was like modifying their gun to look for any reason to kill somebody, or to use it for self-defense, no matter what the circumstances are. So for carry firearms, I highly recommend that you only carry a factory firearm, no modifications, no fancy anything, no writing on it. There was one case with the AR-15, the dust cover actually had an inscription on there saying, "Meet your maker." Man ended up using it in self-defense, and they just destroyed the guy's life. Saying,
or you're effed.
Yeah, something of that nature.
Yeah, you're effed.
Don't get cute with that stuff. Even people that have had signs where it says we don't call 911, that's used against them.
It's like portray shit anyway.
Yeah, no, because I went somewhere a couple days ago, actually in your neighborhood. So that speaks volumes. But
what does that mean? Just to take it to
make a joke that you live
to take it a step further. Some people, well, I don't necessarily ascribe to this. Some people go this far. Call your local PD or Oprah request and say, "What firearm do you issue your department?" And 9 times out of 10, it's a Glock 19. Like it's the 9mm full. Is the 19 the full size or the?
I'm not a Glock guy. So
whatever. The full size 9x19 Parabellum Glock, issue. 9 times out of 10, that's what your department is carrying. Otherwise, they're carrying a SIG or a Smith or something. Some people go as far as saying, "Give me the stock version of whatever my fire department is carrying." And what he's saying is, because then the prosecutor says, "You're trying to use a killing machine." Be like, "So your cops are trying to use killing machines? Yeah. Your cops are trying to slaughter people? Yep. Your cops are trying to murder people?" So there are people that are that obtuse about it. I'm not that obtuse because I hate Glocks, but I don't hate them. They're not my style.
Yeah,
but
I like it a little more now.
What? Oh, I can't stand Glocks.
I didn't know that.
They're like first of all, I'm a romantic. I like art, and Glock is like modernism.
Right, nobody cares about your fetishes.
No, my fetish. And you want to keep this an adult show?
Yeah. In any case,
yeah. Look at you.
Yeah. So factory ammo, factory gun. That's my recommendation. If you want like a race gun of some sort for competitions, modify it all you want. But just even though you might win that case, like we were saying before, they will make that process to punishment. You'll spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, going years in court for them to say, "Yeah, this guy was not doing anything bad. He was just protecting himself or his family," just because you had a trigger spring change or whatever the case is.
Eddie, yeah, you can go to an FFL and sell your firearms. They'll give you a rate. They'll sign a document that says you've given possession to them. It's perfectly legal. I would be cautious about carrying a lighter trigger. You will be equated to Satan in court if you have a self-defense shooting. It's not untrue.
Very exactly. Sure.
I have modified certain things, and I could tell you I will not carry it. Is it a little overzealous? Sure, but I carry when I carry a thing that is stock, just because I don't want to deal with that. Thanks. Obviously, not legal advice. Keith kind of saying the same sentiment. If you modify the functionality, the prosecutor will use it against you.
Exactly.
But yes, you can do so. Of course, you can. As long as just don't change the legal definition of what you have. Yeah. And for that, consult the New Jersey statutes or an attorney. 14-pound trigger. What gun do you have that has a 14-pound trigger?
Didn't they?
There
was one police department that actually
comment what that is. I want to know.
No, they actually made the trigger so heavy.
What's up, baby?
That they added like a 14-pound trigger, so people were trying to use this gun, and of course, what's going to happen? They're going to be pulling the gun down because it's a 14-pound trigger opposed to like a 3 or 4-pound trigger.
Kelly's asking lights, lasers, dots.
Yeah,
they're not illegal.
I've never heard any bad examples of that.
We're not lawyers, though.
Yeah, we're not lawyers, but like you just don't see.
Thanks, Keith. 17 is full size, 19 is common. I knew. That's why I second guessed. I said Glock 19, and I go, wait, that's the medium one. Thank you. I have my first was a G23. It was the 40.
I just Thor like you
because why wouldn't he like? Because I dress casually.
What's
That's
up,
why.
buddy? What's up?
I remember back when the FBI like 15, 20 years ago were like 40 is the best caliber. It's better. No, 40. They went to 40.
Yeah.
Smith and Wesson, and they were like, no, and they're all carrying Glock 23s because it was the compact Glock.
Mhm.
And then they're like, no, the ballistics on the 9x19 is perfectly fine. That's what you need. Thank you, Plain Nut. Same thing. I knew I was off. You saw my hesitation. I was on the same wavelength as all you guys. My 4-year-old is watching with me. Oh, Sean, now I feel terrible.
Thank you, Sean.
My 6-year-old's in bed. He better be in bed right now because we got school early tomorrow. We got to be at that.
Kid's gonna go to school tomorrow with repeating what you're saying.
Firewater FX, and my kid's awesome. He doesn't do that stuff. NYPD.
No, Sean's kid.
Oh, Sean's kid. I'll apologize to him later. It's 12-pound trigger. It was oh. I understand what you're saying now. 12-pound trigger was NYPD. Look up the statistics on. I remember this was part of some case. The amount of times the ratio of the numerator is shots fired by NYPD officers, and the denominator is target being tagged.
Mm-hmm.
Intended target being tagged. The ratio, the percentage. No, it's the inverse. It's the inverse. The percentage is like 30-something percent, which it's not that does. It sounds worse than it is, but it's just illuminating, like to know, like 2 out of 3 shots that they fired don't hit their target.
Yeah. Well, remember, and that's why it's comical hearing Governor Murphy lecturing me about well-trained law enforcement, should only be able to carry guns and blah, blah, blah.
14-pound trigger. How do you hold that thing steady? They're like
whoever's that's a funny point. Like whoever's idea that was to even put those in there should be fired. Like they have no.
You're gonna end up. It's so bad. I like the PDPs, man. Like they have like stock. It's like 4.9 or 5 pounds. Like not even 5-pound trigger. It's really light. But even Glocks for like 6 or so. They're not that crazy. This was the first gen to prevent. It just shows you that they don't even understand like the operation of firearms and what that does. I appreciate your explanation. More power. Appreciate it, man. Again, we're not lawyers, but we try to illuminate as best we can. 13% at best. Maybe I'm misremembering it. Nationwide is 30. Keith, you are just a repository of information. I remember it was 30-something, so maybe NYPD is 13. That could be right.
What is the percentage of?
He's saying that NYPD's percentage of tagging their target was 13%, but nationwide was 33. Like NYPD had a notoriously low percentage.
Yeah, remember that incident a couple years ago in Times Square? Like 4 cops are shooting at somebody. And they did not hit the person once.
Yeah.
But they shot all these other bystanders.
Yeah, whatever. We're immune, so it doesn't matter. I can't hold it straight. That's why I need to lighten it. Yeah, man. I like a light pole. I don't want to be sitting there going,
Go to a doctor, get a doctor's note for that.
Oh, yeah. Or get a single double.
What's this person's name again?
Your follow-up shots will be easier.
I can't shoot it straight.
Steven Zamarak.
Steven, so
Zamazakis.
what? Ask him what gun he's shooting.
Yeah, throw it. He can hear you. You can ask him.
No, I know. Well, yeah.
I did an NRA pistol instructor class at ROC and retired. At Rocco, who we were just talking to right before we went on this live stream. Retired NYPD captain couldn't pass the qual. Doesn't shock me, man. They don't like qualify that often. I was actually talking to someone in our department today, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go qualify. They have to do like pistol and long arms like separately." And I think he had to do long arm today. I don't know, but they only qualify like twice a year. It's not that often. Look, this is the point that people often make: is you likely shoot more than your local department's employees. They're usually not enthusiasts. It's just the hazard of their trade, so they don't really train as often as you would think. The same week, Dickin hit like 9 out of 10 shots from 40 yards to stop that mall shooter. Another PD fired about 10 shots and hit 3 bystanders. Yes, that was that kid in like Indiana who like was barely like 20 years old or 21, 22. He was very young. And I think it was like they had passed constitutional carry, and I don't think he had like a license. And he tagged this guy like perfectly. 40 yards? That is far.
Mall, right?
Yeah, dude, do you know how far away 40 yards is?
Yeah.
With iron, like with stress, with movement?
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's some godlike, dude, that's Navy SEAL shit. Like, that's insane. That's very impressive. LMAO. The prosecutor will always portray what you use as the most objectionable. That's right. NYPD hit 3 or 4 bystanders after the shooter murdered his intended target and surrendered. God bless America, dude. Dang, nailed that surname. P.S. I already posted the model. I ran right over it. You're a Greco, dude. I'm assuming. I have a. If you're a soccer fan at all, and he gets mad when I go on tangents, I still hate you for 2004, but I love you as a brother in the movement. Anthony Calandro endorses NJ2AS weekly. I think, does he?
Yeah.
we should get him
better. I'm gonna text him right now.
I did go to his range. I hadn't seen Anthony in a long time. I was a premium member or whatever, the platinum member when he first opened in like 2012 or 2013 because I lived up there. And then I moved away down this area for like a decade. I've been here. And I did go back up there. I remember it was September 11th last year. And it was because I had just, Bruin had happened. I went back to Superior Court. They changed the judges, changed my decision, gave me the court order. And then for a while, there was this window prior to the legislature changing the laws where you could update your roster. So I was like, oh, I need somewhere to just go requal with like two more carry-friendly guns. So I went up to Gun for Hire, and Anthony saw me and called me out and like said hello to me, which was nice. I hadn't seen him honestly in like almost 10 years. It'd been a long time. SW40VE. Yep.
Everybody give a shout out to Frederick Kuhn. Fred, I love you, man. He's our membership
director.
He is. Yeah, he's our membership director. This guy processes hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of memberships a year, like clockwork. And you do not know how grateful we are for you for the amount of work that you do as a volunteer for NJ2AS.
He also had a damaged site that resulted from a motorcycle crash too. LOL. Hey, that's really nice of you, man. I voted you for county. That's really nice, man. I appreciate it. That was last year's race. I ran that like more as a learning experience, but I'll talk about that another time. The amount of damage we did in that race is actually really impressive, and the people on the inside felt it. People on the outside didn't really like realize it, but that was a really consequential, fun race. But if you ever catch me offline on Twitter on my handle, I'll talk to you about it. We have carried. No problem, guys. Love you, Fred. Thanks, man.
Sean's all right. This guy's funny.
Sean's the man. I talked to Sean a couple of times, and I love the work they do. We talked on the phone once or twice.
We have one book left for the next Life member. If we could just get all of your support and sending out these videos, because as we talked about shadow banning and everything else, do your part. Send it out to your friends and family. Put it on your social media. Let's break this shadow banning algorithm that censors NJ2AS and other groups that Facebook and social media companies despise and now don't allow us to share anything. So, little things like that cost you nothing. And just it's simple stuff. It breaks their algorithm. That's basically what it does.
So yeah, if you can renew your membership, throw in an extra, even $20. It helps us not only do the activism that you see. So we have a lot more videos in the hopper.
Yeah.
This one with the short one with Platkin was a little bit of fun, and we quickly got a swift digital reaction, for putting that out.
Yeah. Do me a favor, because we're going to wrap up. I want to try to figure out what was causing that static sound. So I'm going to play with the two things I was messing with, and just if anybody can let me know, is there any static in the sound now?
We could just listen back to it after.
No.
And we'll know.
Well,
just say test 1, 2, or whatever.
This is the main.
Well, let's figure that out after we go.
Well, no, I want to hold on a second and let me know if.
Sean, we should have you on one time, man. If you want to guest in, we can always take people remotely on this platform. You get a mic on your end and headphones to stop the loop, and we can have people guest in, and we'll put you like on boxes and have different frames and whatnot. Platkin seemed pissy after that. Yeah, he was. And just remember, I'm the plaintiff in a lawsuit against him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. He knows who we all are, so it's not an accident that this stuff is happening. Good to go sound wise. Good to hear. All right, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We have way better videos. That was the least exciting video out of all of them, and I still thought it was pretty cool. But Sean says he's happy to join us. Maybe we'll have him on the next one. But yeah, we'll have some better content next time. Thank you to the Life members who joined. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
If you want to reach out and talk about anything tangential, whether it's 2A or not 2A related, I'm involved in a lot of activist schemes. I don't just do the firearms space. I do a lot of other things, education. I do the local politics. I'll be mayor in Englishtown this January, which is already occupying basically all of my free time. I'm happy to tell you anecdotes about that, but reach out to me, reach out to Alex. But let's get those donations in there so we can keep this up and put some more microphones in the faces of tyrants that are abusing you.
We want to make this the example of what every gun group should be around the country and the world. And maybe one day we'll go national. Like I would love to do something like that. Instead of NJ2AS, it'll be 2AS, and we can start replicating these models because this conversation has to change. And the fact of the matter is that you go around talking about guns today in public, and everybody thinks you want to be a murderer. It's outrageous, and this is how the left wins this culture war. We are going to change that. We are changing that. We have changed that because more people are buying guns than ever in New Jersey, and it's all thanks to people being vocal about it and talking about these issues and wanting to protect themselves. You don't believe how many times I've talked to people and they're just like, well, yeah, I don't want anybody knowing. They're like embarrassed. Like it's just like that's the culture war. That's kind of what I tell you. That's like part of the problem. And if the ideological enemies felt fear in broaching these subjects instead of being empowered in broaching these subjects, we'd have less losses, right? But instead, everyone relies when they think, how do we fight this? They think voting, democracy, politician, party. Like their brain goes to democracy, and that's not the answer, right? Like I said on a previous stream, a Democrat in like Wyoming is way less dangerous than a Republican in New Jersey. Yeah,
they are more pure on Second Amendment rights in Montana on the left there than the best Republican in New Jersey. I'm telling you, the Republicans in New Jersey are a joke. Like in a large sense of the word, they're not purists. In fact, when you talk to them, they will chastise you in my circles for, oh, you can't be so ideological, you can't be so strict, you can't be so pure. I can, maybe you can't, but I have no problem being pure. But anyway.
All right, let's wrap up.
Let me answer the question, though, because nobody got it right. Keith was close. It's legal violence. That's what it is. That surmises the entire scope of what makes them different from everything else. Theft is just a part of it, right? Stealing from you is a crime, is violent. Touching you, assaulting you, jailing you, restricting you, curbing your rights. Everything that they do is violence that is legal. That's it. And anything that you refuse to do, and people say, well, they're not harming you when they're writing a speeding ticket. They're not beating you. They're not, when they tell you your fence isn't allowed to be 5 feet from this border, they're not beating you, Dan. You're being dramatic. You're being a jerk. Why are you saying that? Okay, don't pay your speeding ticket, right? If you ideologically really believe you're allowed to protest that, don't pay your speeding ticket. And then what happens? You get another summons. Then you get a bench warrant. When you don't show up, they're going to send cops to your door. What happens if you refuse to go with them? They're going to put their hands on you. They're going to assault you, and they're going to arrest you. Their violence is legal. And that's the Fred gets it. Government violence. It's legal violence. And until you start defining these monopolies this way, we'll start winning these battles on the liberty front, on the liberty movement, because we're not framing things the right way. Platkin is allowed, and his departments are permitted to break the law and deny you your natural rights, deny you the ability to protect yourself in a perfectly, not only lawful, forget lawful, but moral way, because it's your moral imperative to protect yourself. And who was the lady in Berlin, New Jersey, who got Carol Baum got delayed her permit by 40-something days, and she's dead because does the government? Do we have any standing to sue the government? No.
That family actually did try suing the government, and what did they do? They smacked it down and said, we have no legal obligation to protect you. I mean, that's the reality. Like we talked about before, read that book, Call 911 and Die. And it talks about hundreds of examples where people called, said, whatever. And, police never show up, say, well, if the person's not doing this, then you have no right to kick him out. So
we'll leave it on this. Keith saying there's no infraction that is too petty that they wouldn't kill you over, which is absolutely true. Right, read Lysander Spooner's No Treason. I want somebody commenting on it in the next stream.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everybody. Next week.